I have to say, without question, Are You Afraid of the Dark was my favorite show growing up as a kid. I remember Snick Saturday nights going over to my cousin's house, a bunch of the kids in the basement while all the adults were upstairs drinking chai, drinking tea, talking about their more serious grown up adult lives. Us kids in the basement, we would watch Snick and 9:30 Saturday nights, Are You Afraid of the Dark would come on, and that damn opening credits would scare the hell out of me every single time. I don't understand now looking back at it because revisiting the show as an adult, I'm like, okay, how scary is it? Is it appropriate for kids? Can I get a kick out of it as an adult? Because obviously, some things you watch as a kid, you revisit it as an adult and find out that okay, this wasn't really good at all. So I was mostly curious about the scare factor of Are You Afraid of the Dark watching as an adult. And right off the bat, the damn 20-second opening credits scares me as an adult. That music is creepy as hell. The visual imagery, the dark setting. I mean, it's right up there with the introduction from the Tales from the Dark Side TV show, which is my other super creepy old school television horror opening. So, what is Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's a classic anthology show for children, supposedly young adults, adults, pretty much all ages can watch this show. It aired back on Nickelodeon in the early to mid 90s. There's been a couple of reboots, most famously the last couple years, I think 2019. There was an Are You Afraid of the there was an Are You Afraid of the Dark TV show that came back that was a little bit different. The original format is more anthology. It's a different story every episode, whereas the one that came back recently was more of a serialized, ongoing story. But today we're talking the top 10 Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. I want to be your guide in case, we're getting into Halloween season. So you're probably watching all horror all month of October. So if you feel the need to revisit one of your childhood favorites, or if you haven't seen it at all, October is as good of a month as any to revisit Are You Afraid of the Dark. I want to be your guide, guiding you to the top 10 episodes that you should definitely check out. The show, the original run, I think, is probably 5 or 6 seasons. So there's a lot of episodes here. So picking out the top 10 was pretty tough because I would say that the batting average for the show is pretty high. They knock out the park. I think every other episode is a pretty damn good episode. And there's a couple, maybe 3 or 4 episodes per season that are like flat out classics, I would say. All right, let's get to the list. We're going to go to number 10. And number 10 is The Tale of the Prom Queen. Now, this is an episode that always stuck with me for some reason. I don't know what it is exactly. You start off with some characters in a cemetery. There's a girl visiting a grave, and then two guys are going to show up and kind of try to prank her. You have a more clownish kid, and then you have a more serious dude and their friends. And it's one of those stories that jumps right in the action. You immediately are kind of with these three characters as they immediately become friends. And the two characters are talking to a girl who's supposedly from out of town. So they're going to tell the story of the prom queen. And listen, this whole episode is kind of like, it feels kind of like a young, kind of a Goonies, sort of like what would be like a teen mystery show. It's just them most of the episode trying to figure out the mystery of the prom queen, what happened to her. Years ago, they go to the library, they try to summons her from a boat in the water, and really at the end, you get a fun twist ending. It's one of those episodes that you could see it being a movie, but they did a good job of condensing it down to 20 minutes. Tale of the Prom Queen, solid, fun episode, number 10 on the list. Let's go to number 9, and this is going to be The Tale of the Shiny Red Bicycle. Now, for a children's show, this episode really handles a lot of adult themes because, you have two characters as kids. They are riding their bikes, and one of them sort of dies in a tragic sort of water-based accident. And then you spend the rest of the episode with the other friend who sort of feels like maybe he could have prevented it. Maybe he could have done something to change his friend's fate. So he's dealing with a lot of trauma in this episode. He's really dealing with his mental health and the idea of grief and moving on from grief. So there's a lot of like deep adult themes in this episode. And man, I'll tell you what, I don't know. This is a very, very convincing acting also from the cast here. So this episode always stood out to me. It always made me, as a kid, wary riding my bike past places of running water, sort of, floating water, lakes, like ditches, things like that. As a bicycle rider, as a kid, you kind of just, throw caution in the wind, ride your bike everywhere. But this definitely made me cautious about where to ride my bike for sure. Okay, moving on to number 8. Let's go to The Tale of the Twisted Claw, which, listen, I have to say that This is definitely an episode aimed more towards kids. You have two small kids, maybe middle schoolers, I want to say, that are the stars in this episode. The idea that they get this claw that's going to grant them wishes, but in horror, it's always, of course, be careful what you wish for because you're gonna get some extreme, over-exaggerated version of the wish that ends up biting you right in the ass, and that happens with these two kids. They go on the journey. Now, there's a funny scene in this episode of the kid running track for his school track team, and he's going against really the popular kid who's like the overwhelming favorite to win the race. But this kid is putting the wish to the magic claw to win the race himself. So you have this slow motion race around the track. The kid's like far behind, and then suddenly this damn, I guess like wolf dog comes out from the tree and attacks the other kid, allowing our main character to win the race. It's really an intense but almost like cheesily comedic slow motion scene, I would say. But ultimately, this kind of episode is about them learning their lesson, learning not to tempt fate, learning not to egg people's houses on Halloween, which, is kind of the beginning of the episode. Tale of the Twisted Claw, I would say, fun episode for sure. Moving on to number 7. Okay, let's go to The Tale of the Dangerous Soup. Now, this episode for us horror lovers has an appearance from a relatively young Nev Campbell. She's working at a restaurant. A drifter type guy is going to come in wanting a job. They're going to have instant love here. Well, maybe not instant love, but they're going to develop a quick romance. But of course, this restaurant is doomed because who works there? Dr. Vink. And Dr. Vink, who is a stable in the Are Afraid of the Dark universe, shows up from time to time. And it's always bad when you see him because you know some crazy shit's about to go down. In this case, there's a soup that you eat that then I guess, you end up in a back room where some old demon thing knows what you're afraid of. He knows what you're afraid of. He knows what, I can't do the Dr. Vink voice as well as Dr. Vink, of course, but just a great episode, a lot of suspense here. I would say that this one is more aimed for adults. So as an adult watching it, I feel like unbelievable that this is an episode that was shown to kids. Like I don't see the appeal if you're like say 9, 10 years old, but this feels almost like more like a Tales from the Crypt episode, more aimed towards adults. So it's a good entry episode if you want to jump in as an adult. Maybe you don't like little kid stuff. So I would go with The Tale of the Dangerous Soup. All right, let's move on. Where are we at? Let's move on. We've done 10, 9, 8, 7. So let's go to number 6. This is a very popular one online. It's called The Tale of the Dream Girl. And, I have to say, this is going to be this whole damn video is going to be spoilers ahead, I guess. So, but the thing with this, without giving too much away, but it's going to give it away. And this reminds me of when I came out the theater after seeing Sixth Sense, and I came home and I told my older brother the ending of the Sixth Sense. And he held that against me for the next I guess not 30 years, but the next 15 years, he held it against me that I ruined the ending of Sixth Sense. And now I'm doing that to you guys because this episode will make you think that M. Night Shyamalan was watching this episode when he wrote Sixth Sense, because the damn twist ending here. If this doesn't inspire Sixth Sense, I'd be very surprised. And that is a rumor online that maybe this episode did inspire it, but it's a very deep episode with a great twist ending. I just can't talk about it too much because you have to watch it to kind of get what I'm talking about. And hopefully I didn't ruin the ending completely, but you'll still get some fun out of watching it. Okay, let's move on now to our top 5. This is the top 5 Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, in my opinion. Of course, in the comments, let me know your thoughts if I missed an episode. And of course, hit the like button and subscribe if you like this video. So, let's go to, we're going to do The Tale of the Midnight Madness. And you know who's back here? Dr. Vink is back again. This man is an entrepreneur, goes in and out of different businesses. Each season on Afraid of the Dark, he's got a new venture that he's approaching, and it's always some evil, crazy shit going down. In this case, he has a movie that he shows people that apparently just makes everybody come back. It just makes all the theaters a lot of money. So, at some point, the struggling theater, actually starts showing the film pretty consistently. And without giving too much away, it's going to be a fun movie theater setting with a lot of crazy stuff going on. Dr. Vink shenanigans, Tale of the Midnight Madness. Again, I would say aim towards adults. So it's a good double double feature with The Tale of the Dangerous Soup. I'd watch those back to back if you can, especially if you're a fan of Dr. Vink. So, okay, moving on now. So, The Tale of Laughing in the Dark. Now, this might be the most famous episode. I don't know. When I was a kid, this feels like the first episode I remember watching. So basically, you have a setup where there's a carnival, and it's a scary ass carnival, way too scary for young kids. And someone's gonna get dared to go in there and to steal the clown nose off the clown. And the clown in this episode, I'm gonna say, I mean, it rivals Pennywise. Art the Clown. This clown from this Are You Afraid of the Dark episode is scary as hell. No question about it. This episode gave me the Willy Jillies. The Willy Jimmies? The Willy Jimmies? What do you call it? What do the kids call it? Willy Jimmy? You know, it doesn't matter. It gave me the creeps. And even watching it as an adult, I still find this episode to be actually terrifying for a child to watch. So I'm shocked that me and the kids in the basement watched this episode, but it always stayed with me. The clown with his cigar is creepy as hell. Tale of Laughing in the Dark. Such a creepy laugh, too. It just gives me Freddy Krueger, Pennywise vibes. Definitely belongs in the top 10 here. Okay, so let's move on. Getting to the nitty gritty. Wow, okay. So this next one, I think is a lot of you may be familiar with. It's The Tale of the Pinball Wizard. Now, every kid's biggest fear or biggest thing they maybe hope for would be to be maybe trapped in a video game. It just, I guess, depends on what video game you're trapped in. But this kid gets trapped in a pinball game, and this is gonna play like a real life RPG. The kid gets trapped in the game. He has to save the princess, defeat the bad guys. But of course, at the end, he finds out that video games, truly too much video games as a kid, may destroy you in ways that this kid could not have imagined. Listen, that sounded like anti-video game. I don't want to do that. I have friends who are serious gamers in the gaming industry, of course. A lot of great video games out there. Is anybody excited for the Halloween video game? I don't know. Not really per se, but I'll try when it comes out. I don't know. This is maybe not technically the best episode from a sheer technical standpoint. I mean, the kid who is the pinball kid is kind of unlikable. So, he doesn't get the happiest ending in the world, but I guess we grow like the character as the episode goes on. But it is a fun episode with a lot of rewatchability. So this is a quick 20-25 minutes. And the thing about Are You Afraid of the Dark is that for a kids show, it's not afraid to have extremely horrible, unhappy endings. Now, you think about an episode of Full House, you think about an episode of Family Matters, generally you're subjected to a message. The hero overcomes the odds, everything wraps up nicely, and you move on to next week. But man, I'll tell you what, Are You Afraid of the Dark has some serious, crazy, unhappy, sad endings. And I would say this ending is well, I don't know. I guess if you really like pinball, maybe this would be a happy ending. But I think for the character in this episode, it's not a happy ending. All right, let's move on to an episode that I would say, for me, is heavily. It's a vampire episode. Let's just say it's called "Tale of the Nightly Neighbors," and the rewatchability of this episode is like it just reminds me of Fright Night so much. It has a Fright Night feel to it. It has a Disturbia feel, the neighbors who mysteriously move in and the kids trying to figure out what's going on with the neighbors. You have a great twist ending here as well. Again, maybe not from a technical standpoint, but this episode always stood with me, so I got to give it mad props. If you like vampire stories at all, if you like Fright Night or Disturbia, you'll get a big kick out of the Tale of the Nightly Neighbors. And now this number one episode I'm going to go with is, in my opinion, genuinely the most scariest episode in the entire franchise. It is the Tale of the Super Specs. Now, we know in They Live, you got those glasses that show you aliens, taking over the world. Put on the glasses! No! But the specs here show something very, very scary. And as a kid, I was freaked out. And again, as an adult, this is genuinely scary. And also, we get another character who's kind of a reoccurring character, Sardo. Sardo, who has a weird pawn shop with a lot of crazy stuff, has these glasses, and the kids get the glasses, put them on, and they see some scary damn stuff. This episode might have been banned from Nickelodeon rewatches. They never play this episode, so you gotta find a way to see this episode. Tale of the Super Specs, in my opinion, the scariest episode in all of the television's run, I would say. So, all right, so that's the top 10 episodes that I have. One runner-up I want to mention is The Tale of the Phone Police. A ridiculous idea, a ridiculous story, but a fun episode to watch, I would say. Tale of the Phone Police. There's some other ones as well, I would say, but maybe I'll do a next batch of the top 10, the top 20 episodes, like 10 through 20. But these 10 episodes, I think, represent a good starting point. Again, if you haven't watched a show in a long time or this will be your first time watching it, these are 10 really super highlight episodes that I feel like you can jump into. Some of them tailored for adults, some of them more for kids, but all of them, you'll be creeped out by the damn opening. And also, you get to know the opening, the opening cast telling the story, the Midnight Society. I mean, who didn't want a group of friends like that as a kid? Who didn't want a group of friends you could sit around with in the middle of the night with a campfire and tell ghost stories? This feels like one of the best childhoods ever. And I think the sheer nostalgia of the show just takes me back to that time when kids would just go out and play, although these kids are sneaking out at night, middle of the night campfire. The parents probably didn't like that, probably didn't know about it. But yeah, just warms my heart to watch this show. So I'll definitely be rewatching probably the entire run of it over the next few months. But and also anthology wise, I think I'm gonna do a video like this for Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, just getting my top 10 episodes of all these franchises. So, what does Are You Afraid of the Dark mean to you, the audience? Do you guys remember the show? Did you watch as a kid? Have you watched as an adult? And what are some of your favorite episodes? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, you guys take care.